Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DETAUX Designers Talk UX. Confucius once said, choose a job you love, and you'll never have to work a single day in your life. Today, we have Samarth with us, who was about to become a chartered accountant and he went on to become a UX designer. And he's here with us to share his story with you. Hello, Samarth, and welcome to DETAUX. How are you doing today?
Hey Atul, thank you for having me here. I'm doing fine, thank you. How about
Awesome.
you?
I'm doing great as well. I hope everything is great at your end.
Oh, thanks for asking. Yeah, everything's fine. I hope
Awesome.
it's the same there.
Yeah. So it was great to know you about your journey, Samath, and I was amazed by how you transitioned from being a chartered accountant to being a UX designer at Clear, right? So your journey, I think it will resonate with a lot of people who are trying to transition to something from a maybe a monotonous career to being in a more creative career or want to move or transition to a more creative career, right? So that's what I thought it is worth putting it out there to the world. I appreciate that you took that path and took that leap of faith. So go ahead and please go ahead and share your story.
Cool. So this is about my career, my design transition, how I got into design. As Atul mentioned, I started with chartered accountancy. I did not complete it though, but I was left with a couple of exams. So if I would have given that, I would have been a chartered accountant by now. But this is a story about me. So this is how it started. I was a creative person, and during my school days, I used to doodle a lot. And during the classes, I was like an average student. And during the classes, I used to fiddle around in the notebooks, making sketches or making portraits of people, just doodling around. And back then, I did not know that design could be taken as a career. So I hadn't seen anyone taking design as their career apart from the art teachers in the school back then. So how did it all begin? So my family was a creative family. My mom was a housewife, but she used to love being creative, and she used to create different things, 3D artworks and sketches, paintings, and all those things. So that inspired me till a point. But in the school also, there was a teacher, there was a person who was a sculptor in the school, and he was termed as the art teacher. And during our breaks or whatever extra periods and all those things, we used to sit in his room and get some wisdom, learn certain things from him. So he used to always look at me, see my work, and he used to always tell me that, hey, you should really look into design as a career. So I don't know what you're up to, but I always used to tell him that no, sir, my family wouldn't allow that. And so yeah, that was where it all began. And it came to my head that someone shared, okay, design can be taken as a career. Alongside this, I used to love click pictures, and I always felt that I had that eye to look at things, aesthetics, and all those things, set up a scene and click a picture. So I was always fond of colors, vibrance, and things like that. I think that would be pretty much evident from the things you see in the slides or on the screen. So what happened next? So basically, there were this is a bit of the funny part in my life, but there were around 10 chartered accountants in my family, in my paternal side, and my dad had a business of his own, which was self-sufficient. And my family always used to tell me about two things: that either you get into a business or become a chartered accountant as your relatives, because that's like the gloomy future, and you learn a lot, and it is the safe career option, things like that. But I never used to really get convinced by it, but I did not have another option. I could say back then internet was not that prevalent, or we did not have access to internet as much as we have it today. So I believed in it, and I basically got into chartered accountancy and cleared my entrance, cleared the IPC. But later I realized that, hey, is it really what I would want to do throughout my life after I am done with the chartered accountancy course? And then one fine day, there was this movie called Three Idiots, which was being premiered on the TV again. So I looked into it, and there was an interesting story of a photographer, which inspired me just the way he did. To his father, he went up, he spoke, and he was like, "Hey, dad, I don't want to get into education of this particular engineering setup, and I want to be a photographer, enjoy my life, and do what I am passionate for." So that's where it kicked in, and I was like, "Okay, I'll also go up and tell my parents." But they did not agree at first, and being very honest, we all come from an orthodox approach. So they were like, what will you do, how will you do it, what is the plan? But I clearly did not have any plan in my head. So all those conflicts happened, and then I started exploring what could be done. And it was definitely a road not taken, because no one in my family, even in the relatives, hadn't been a designer or explored any such fields. Mostly people are doctors, engineers, chartered accountants, the safest career options. But I chose not to be one. And I started photography. And then there was a day when I felt the need of learning Photoshop for post processing of my image. I bought a camera, I remember, a DSLR, with my savings, and I was really happy, pumped up. And then I went on to YouTube and explored what is Photoshop, how do you get it. Back then, I installed Photoshop. I did not have money to, what do you say, pay for the subscription, definitely. So I wouldn't recommend people to do that. But anyhow, I installed Photoshop, started exploring, started editing my images. So I learned it to the extent where I could edit only my images. But later, when I got to know, when I watched more videos, I understood that, okay, hey, this is a place which is really vast, and there are certain things which I am not aware of. So that's when I started exploring. I started applying for jobs, what do you say, internships. And I always wanted to stand out and do something out of the box. So I got my job gradually. But how I got my job was something interesting. So what I did was I created a sort of collection of my artwork. These were sketches and illustrations, paintings, and photography as well. So I created sort of a reel out of it, learning from YouTube, and I put everything into barcode. So at that time, QR code wasn't prevalent, even the applications. But then it would fancy you the chances of getting a job. So every time I was called up for an interview or something, I used to share the QR code, and people used to really get amused of it. That, hey, what is this? This is really cool. And that's how I got my first job, my first earnings. And since then, like, I've always been learning on my own, focusing on design and seeing this as a career option. But as I grew, I got opportunities, multiple opportunities to collaborate with people across the globe. I worked for people in Russia, in Dubai, and my featured work also got viewed at the bigger screens and places which are very prominent across these countries. And how I learned, basically, so YouTube was not the only source. I always wanted to grow further because I did not have any guiding light. At that time, we did not have mentors, or like, we couldn't find the real people. LinkedIn, Twitter, everything has been popular only now. So these platforms were not that accessible back then, and awareness was also not there. So I used to attend workshops, seminars. I used to visit all those places in the scorching heat and learn things, learn new tips and tricks. And that's how I kept growing. Then I got into another job. I learned, what do you say, print design there. I was leading the magazine. It was a magazine organization, and we used to have like a 70 to 100 pager magazine every month. So I was leading the entire design, and there I understood how to understand print, how to design, and do various things. So these were the things that I was learning. And then there was a day when I felt that, okay, I feel that my saturation has come on this point, and I should be looking at other things. And that's when I started exploring for other jobs on the internet. And I came across a job in Bangalore. I was really skeptical of that first. And again, the same, your parents or your relatives would also be, they would not want you to leave the home and go into a discomfort where you'll have to manage everything on your own. But this is how you grow, right? You'll have to get out of your cocoon. So I took that opportunity, applied for the job, luckily got it. And then my journey started. I got into Bangalore in this new company, which was an Abu Dhabi based organization. They had a product called Sue, which was entertainment based application. It had games and all those things. People could put in a small amount of money, play the game, and big win. So these were the things that I did, and that's how I started getting into the UX design opportunities. Basically, one day I was sitting and I understood that, okay, hey, since all this while I've been doing animation, graphic design, and things like that. But what happens next? I deliver the creatives, I deliver the things, but what after it? I never get a feedback, or like, it never comes back to me. It's like, okay, done and dusted, more like an agency setup. Then I got interested into, okay, there is something called user experience design, where we cater to the user's need, we design things, and then it comes back again with the feedback and the learnings, and then we iterate. So it's like an iterative process cycle, which I love doing. And that's when I started my job in Bangalore, got into multiple jobs, and then scaled different products from scratch, built teams, interviewed people, and helped the younger designers from my experience to gain knowledge and learn how to work in these things. I started talking to people over LinkedIn. By then, I had explored platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, and various events used to happen around Bangalore, because Bangalore is known as the Silicon City of India. So I got lot of exposure, and trust me, people also were willing to help, unlike the other states. So I acquired new skills and grew mature into the roles and got more complex problems. And then I was preparing for newer challenges, bigger opportunities, and that's when I got into the current job role. And I started designing for the biggest product here, and handling the biggest, what do you say, responsibility, the teams and everything. So everything was bigger here. The picture was bigger, and again, the learnings in the same way were bigger. So that was about it, and I still look to grow. I don't hesitate from listening or talking to the younger generation, because they always have something new. They're so curious. So that is about my story. And I would say that for you guys who all are listening to it or watching the video, what is it for you, like how you can start your career with design? I would say there are different things. Like, there are, first of all, there are different verticals in design. You can say user experience designer, user interface designer, product designer, interaction designer, user researcher, writer, design ops. So I would say, first figure out what you like and what are you good at. Once you figure that out, it'd be a great thing to try that out and understand if that fits for you. And then the community is always there, so it's like a close knit community. People are always up for helping if you put up or you approach in the right way. And it is a very promising career opportunity. So I would say the people who are wanting to do this should not wait. Like, it's never too late. Just start there and then, whenever you feel there is a need, or you want to make a switch, or you want to start afresh into design. This is a good place to be. And if you're creative, you're more than welcome. So the possibilities are endless, and from my experience, I can say that. And I've been growing all this while, all these years, since past six and a half years, and still I feel there is so much to grasp, so much to learn, that one can never be satisfied. So that is the beauty of the design career. So yeah, that was about it. Over to you, Atul. And people can always feel free to reach out and connect. I'm more than happy to review portfolios or discuss about opportunities, or whatever they would want help on.
Awesome, awesome. It's awesome to hear such stories, Samarth. I'm able to recollect my story, how I transitioned from engineering to design, and then very few of us get this opportunity to maybe work with someone or maybe do an internship, which comes in between, and then that's where your realization happens, right? My realization happened when I was working with TCS, and then I was looking up to this senior of mine who got into IIT Mumbai, and that's where I discovered on his LinkedIn profile that he got into interaction design at IIT, and that's where I figured that what is interaction design like, and that oh, this is what I wanted to do all my life, and I didn't know about it. So being from a really small town, sometimes it's just not, maybe you don't have the right kind of resources or the people around you, which matters a lot, right, in this mind. So especially for you, Samath, like, um, when was this inflection point or this tipping point where you decided that okay, this is what I wanted to do? I think that's
uh,
very important.
mhm.
So
Specifically for UX, or like the design as a whole?
design as a general, I mean, from a CA is a very different kind of a mindset, I think.
Right. So CA was like something that was enforced onto my thoughts. And back then I was not aware. I was like, okay, yeah, this is something really cool. And I have the results in front of me. I've seen all my relatives, my family members. And I was
Right,
like, yeah, this might be easy. I did not even know what a CA does back then when I started doing it.
right.
So yeah, that's when I started into the chartered accountancy career. But I was always a creative person. The only reason was that I did not take it as a career option, was lack of awareness.
Hmm.
Whenever I used to reach out to my family, they used to tell me, "What will you become? You'll become an art teacher in a school, and you'll sit idle. What will you do out of learning or having a career in design?" But later, when I saw certain movies and videos and documentaries, all those things, So that's when I realized, okay, maybe I can approach it in a better way, and I can reach out to my family members. And that's when I started. But after learning Photoshop for photography and post processing, I realized that, hey, this software is cool enough, and I can do my designs digitally instead of pencil and colors and all those things. That's when I felt that, okay, hey, I can start exploring Photoshop and other softwares for design related things. And after a point, I guess pen tool became one of my favorite tools. And till date, like till now, I love to use pen tool in Figma as well while doing my product design things. So yeah, that was when I discovered that, okay, this can be a career and I want to get into design.
Awesome, awesome. So, what would you want to? I mean, what was your family's reaction? The first, maybe when you transitioned, right
Mhm.
from. I mean, were you working as a CA as well for a while?
No, I did not complete chartered accountancy.
You didn't finish. Okay.
I left it in between, so I'm yet to give my final exams. I call it a quit.
Do you plan to?
Sorry?
Do you plan to finish your CA?
No, no, not really.
Okay. Awesome. But then, okay. So what was that? That what was your family's reaction when this happened? And then you said, okay, I'm gonna leave CA, and then I'll become a designer now. Finally, I've taken my decision. So was your
So
family supportive, or how? What was their reaction?
it was hard to digest, being very honest, at first. And it would be the same for anyone coming from that mindset, right? Parents are from a different generation as compared to us. They want our future to be more secure rather than the hustle and all those things. But later they got to know, and they understood, they knew about my field. So back then they were not very comfortable, but now when I see it, my family understands UX design, my family understands creativity. My mom, though she is 50 plus in age, but now while she uses her smartphone, she'll reach out to me saying, hey, this seems to be a bad experience, right? What would you say
Right.
about it? So she discusses all those things voluntarily with me, which was not the case early on. So yeah, the reaction was normal, like a normal Indian family, but it grew better, and now they are full in support. And they tell others also, the younger generation or the relatives who have younger kids. They tell them ki, hey, look at our son, he did not get into all those monotonous fields and chose something very different. You might want to speak to him and understand those career opportunities. So they are very supportive now, and they love UX design. My sister followed me, so she became a product manager. After
Oh,
that, she
awesome.
explored UX design and all those things, and now she's a product manager. So she left a job in Deloitte. So I think I have been inspiring at least a couple of people.
Awesome, awesome. So, how does it feel? I mean, what would be your message be to maybe especially parents
Mhm.
who think conventionally that maybe engineering or maybe being a doctor in India is the profession to go? I mean, that mindset I think still persists,
Mhm.
right? Wherein people are have limited amount of knowledge or
Mhm.
awareness in terms of what other professions could be, or
Mhm.
it could also be that they are thinking from the perspective of maybe monetarily with these professions are very well off compared
Mhm.
to other professions, or there are
Mhm.
more hardships in other professions. For example, maybe getting into mechanical engineering or maybe chemical engineering gets you exposed to certain kind of professions, right? And a sitting job, maybe in IT, becoming an engineer or computer engineer especially, right? Or maybe becoming a doctor, wherein it's more of a safer job profile to have, right? So what were your parents also thinking in a similar direction? That's why you got into this. And I mean, what would your message be for people who are watching this, or maybe parents who are watching this?
Right. So my parents, like the case was 10 years, 15 years back, right? So I
Right.
think things have changed, people have evolved, and I feel parents have become more understanding, more empathetic towards their kids as compared to back then. But still, I would say that these people should understand, the parents should understand the kids, basically what they like, what they're willing to do. Because if you don't like what you do, there is no point being in there, even if you are being paid well or you have a good job, a 9 to 5 job. But instead, if a person likes to do something or would want to explore a field which has more hustle and more difficulties, it wouldn't be a problem since you like that particular thing.
Hmm.
So I'd say for parents, they should try and understand, give some time to the kid, and don't worry if he or she fails in a particular attempt to pursue a career. And there is no age to make a switch. So I switched my career when everyone in and around me were already into jobs, being paid very well, settled. Some of them even got married. So that was there, and I had that in my mind. But I was very dedicated that this is not the place where I should be. So at that point, whatever I say, if my parents wouldn't have supported, I couldn't have done that. So at some point they supported, right? So I would say that the parents should understand the kids and let them explore, because money is not the only thing. And but yeah, designers do get paid well.
At least now.
So yeah, so that's about it.
Okay, okay. Awesome. So, very interestingly, I mean, you've joined Clear, right?
Mhm.
Which was previously Clear Tax,
Mhm.
right? So your I mean, profession kind of aligns with what you are still doing, right? So, how
Right.
much did it help in
Okay.
terms of your profession, what you already learned, maybe, or maybe, I mean, since you mentioned there are so many CAs in your family already, right? So, did that also help you maybe getting this job role, or was is there an interesting story around that as well?
Okay, so can be a small part on that, but basically the previous job was into a fintech company called MyBillbook. So there also I designed a product on the lines of finance, and
Okay.
people used to manage their business through our application.
Okay.
So definitely it had some learnings from my past that I could implement here at Clear, but not really all those things helped me crack the interviews. It was solely how I think, how I solve problems, how I approach a problem. So the process and all those things really helped me get the job, being very honest. But as I came in from chartered accountancy and I knew all those parts, definitely did have an impact on the current role, because when I see the designers here working alongside me, it is very difficult for them to understand things like GST, taxation, income tax, all those things. Wherein I find it a bit easier to grasp and understand because I have the base there. But being very honest, back then I used to avoid getting into all these things. That's why I changed my field. But life comes in full circle, and I'm back to taxation, finance, and all those things. Even more in detail, more complex problems that I'm approaching right now. I
Right.
feel CA would have been an easier take.
Okay.
But I love doing this, so it never comes difficult to me.
Right. At the end of the day, if you like doing what you do, right, you put in all your efforts
Right.
basically into it, and even if you have more tougher problems to solve, but just because you like doing it, you would go all the way, right,
Correct.
in to spend time solving those problems. Basically, that's awesome to hear from that. Lastly, has your experience been with Designers Academy as a mentor? And how do you like talking to new talent and then giving them an opportunity in a similar fashion of learning something from a mentor, and then get maybe these people have not gotten that opportunity in a similar fashion of working with as an intern, or maybe going to NID, IITs, or some kind of a institute to formally educate themselves in terms of design. So how do you find yourself as in the mentor's shoes now?
Being very honest, I feel a bit old. So people come in seeking for support, wisdom, and all those things. I feel I'm not that old, but it's really fun. So I've come across really creative minds who've been hidden in some or the other job, and we weren't aware that there were so creative people available out there. So now when I interacted with them or I had sessions with them, I felt that designers is like a very good platform for all those people, and I really wish it would have existed back then. I would have been at a better place right now. So life has been difficult without these platforms, and I would say these people, these youngsters these days have access to all such things, and you guys have made such a wonderful platform that it's been so easier and accessible to all these mentors and people who come in from different experiences, and we can share whatever we've had and save them from getting to all those potholes which we got into. And so yeah, my experience with designers has been amazing so far, and I've learned a lot from the students, learned a lot from designers, and that has also helped me grow. So I'm always greedy about growing, learning more things, and experience has been amazing. Have met a couple of good people.
Awesome, awesome. It's just good to hear good words also sometimes, Samarth. So thanks a lot.
You deserve it.
Yeah, yeah. So we're building this platform now where we want to again solve problems, right? So it's not going to be just specific to design, right?
Mhm.
We would want to. I mean, everyone is a designer at the end of the day. MBAs are designers, and CAs are also designing your taxation plans and designing how you should save money, right? So everyone's essentially designing in some sense, unless they're crafting or engineering something, right? So every planner is a designer. So we want to have this platform wherein we are able to bring in all these people who are to be able to mentor also, or to be able to learn. And everyone's learning at certain some kind of a stage, right? Maybe you're a beginner, maybe you're intermediate, maybe you're an expert, but you're always learning. It's learning is always
Right.
lifelong, right? So I hope we are able. I mean, it's a long journey to go, but I hope we get there somewhere and make a small difference at least. Yeah, yeah. So awesome, lovely having you in DETAUX, right? So, and I hope people get inspired from you, look at your journey, and then of course they would have lesser potholes to get through by themselves. And I hope they are able to um, you I mean be inspired by your courage to take that leap of faith and then do what they want to love, and that's what all matters, right? So thank you so much for joining in. Any last words from you?
Thank you, Atul. Thank you for having me here, and it was a pleasure. And I feel really honored to be here, to be a part of this. And one last thing that I would tell the learners would be that always be curious and believe in yourself. No one would do more than you. So if you think you can do it, you can really do it. So never have doubts on your capabilities. You can achieve whatever you feel like. So always push for the difficult things in life, and sky's the limit.
Awesome, awesome.